Pennsylvania is on the verge of passing a state budget on time, and that controls spending. What's in that budget? Well, let's spend 5 minutes with State Representative Ryan Aument of the 41st District in Lancaster County. Representative, welcome.
Morning. It's good to be here.
As I mentioned, this is an on-time budget. It also controls spending. So let's talk about that spending first of all. And there's something that gets kicked around, a term called the spend number this time of year. What does that mean, and where are we with the spend number in this budget?
Well, thank you. You've highlighted a couple of key points. First, an on-time budget, the first time in 8 years that we have been able to accomplish that. And that's been an important goal that we've had all session. And so I think the taxpayers deserve a budget that's going to be passed on time. And also a budget that right-sizes state government, that returns spending to a sustainable level. The governor proposed a budget, and the House has passed a budget that focuses state spending at $27.3 billion.
And now there's been some talk with the spend number being 27.3, and that was first proposed back in February.
That's right.
That economically Pennsylvania is doing a little better than government projected for this fiscal year. So they're talking about something called a surplus. Is that how you see it, and what's your opinion on that?
Well, I think it's important to point out that what we are seeing currently is revenues that are beyond our projections. That has not materialized as a surplus yet. And too often in Harrisburg, as soon as extra money even appears to possibly be on the table, there are those that are quick to spend those dollars. And I think it's important that we see it, one, as projected revenue, and two, that we recognize that there are significant liabilities coming down the road that we have not addressed in this budget. Infrastructure costs in the tune of perhaps $4 billion, pension liabilities, $4 to $6 billion, an M-Care fund that the state Supreme Court could very well rule that we're on the hook for $800 million. An unemployment compensation loan, essentially, from the federal government that we're on the hook for $3.5 billion. These liabilities total well into the billions, and so if a surplus does materialize anywhere between perhaps $500 million and $1 billion, I think it's unwise to use those one-time revenue sources to increase state spending.
I guess if you had to analogize it with something involving the family, let's say a family is creating their own budget. And the mom and the dad work, but there haven't been any raises recently. Prices of everything have gone up. Revenue's not coming in like it used to. Like a lot of families are experiencing that. They come into a little bit of money, maybe perhaps through an inheritance, but there's still a mortgage, there's still a car payment to make, and there's college education for the kids coming down the road. Is it wise to take that inheritance and just go ahead and spend it on a big screen TV?
That's exactly right. I think most Pennsylvanians absolutely understand that, and that analogy is exactly right on. Perhaps add some credit card debt to that, and you get a better sense of the picture that we're facing as a General Assembly.
So, in a general overview of the budget, what are the areas that you think are of concern, if there are any, and what are the areas you're pleased with?
Well, I'm very pleased with the House Republican proposal. I think the governor gave us a terrific outline of what a state budget ought to be, an on-time budget that returns spending to a sustainable level at $27.3 billion. That does not increase taxes and does not engage in additional borrowing. I think that is an important outline. When you look at the budgets of the last 8 years, we increased spending over the course of 8 years, $8 billion. That's 37%. At the same time, the rate of inflation was growing at 21%. That clearly was not a sustainable level. What we've done now is return spending to a sustainable level. The House Republican proposal adds additional dollars into the basic education formula. Now, we've lost a significant amount of money as a result of the loss of federal stimulus dollars, but we increased the basic ed funding over the governor's proposal. We've decreased some of his welfare line items. State Auditor General Jack Wagner has identified $1 billion perhaps of waste, fraud, and abuse within the Department of Public Welfare. And so we've actually increased over last year's spending by 1%, but we have decreased the spending from the governor's proposal and put more of that money back into education.
Very good. Well, we're out of time now, but I'm sure you'll be back, Representative, to talk about the budget when it is finally passed and exactly what's in it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We are out of time for this edition, and if you have any questions for Representative Aument, you can contact him at his district office or through his website. All that information will be on your screen in just a moment. Thanks for spending 5 minutes with Representative Ryan Aument.